Chapter 22:10. Dandan made her move. She controlled the formation and condensed numerous chains, which shot toward the experts of the Lan and Yin families to bind them. The Void Emperors couldn't resist at all. They couldn't move no matter how hard they struggled. Blue Cloud and Yin Shi were also tied up. "It's you. Damn it." Blue Cloud roared, his eyes turning red when he recognized Dandan. They struggled madly, but it was useless. They were bound tightly by the chains. Boom. Boom. The true emperor from the Lan clan tried to break free, but a low-level true emperor couldn't do much. The chains tightened around him. "You want to win by numbers, huh? Let's see how you're going to win by numbers." Lu Ming stepped into the air and walked toward Lan Yun and the rest. "Lu Ming, you dare touch me?" Blue Cloud roared. "You're still so arrogant, what a fool." Lu Ming arrived above Blue Cloud's head and stomped on Blue Cloud's face. Bang! Blue Cloud's face was solidly stomped by Lu Ming, leaving a footprint on it. "Ah!" Blue Cloud roared in anger. Last time, Dandan stomped on his face, causing his teeth to fly out. Now that he had recovered, Lu Ming stomped on his face again. He had always been a proud son of the heavens since he was young. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? But in just a few days, his face had been stomped on repeatedly. He wanted to vomit blood. "What are you shouting for? It's so King unpleasant." Lu Ming disdainfully stomped on Blue Cloud's face again. This stomp caused Blue Cloud's face to swell and his teeth to fly out. Blue Cloud immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Some of it came from his teeth falling out, while the other part came from anger. He was so angry that he vomited blood. "Everyone, this person is lawless and has no regard for the law. Let's attack together and take him down." Blue Cloud roared, summoning the other people from the heaven realm. However, the others looked at each other, and no one made a move. Lu Ming didn't kill anyone, and he didn't use too much force, so it wasn't considered a violation of the rules. Moreover, many of them were Blue Cloud's competitors. When they saw Blue Cloud being tortured, they couldn't be happier. Why would they stand up for him? At this moment, even Yin Shi shut her mouth and behaved herself. She was afraid that Lu Ming would target her. "You still dare to shout? Come again." Lu Ming stepped on Blue Cloud's face again. Roar. Blue Cloud howled. Unfortunately, his entire body was chained up and he could only stand there, unable to move at all. He could only passively be stepped on. "Kill this brat, hurry up and kill him." Blue Cloud roared. Boom. A 6-star true emperor from the Lan clan wasn't chained up. He was still resisting the chains. At this moment, the world energy in his body burned fiercely. The power of various laws rampaged and bombarded the chains. A 6-star true emperor was too strong. In order to break through to the true emperor realm, one had to have enough world energy and a stable minor world, but there were also requirements regarding laws. In order to break through, one needed to have 3 laws at the 2nd level. One could only imagine how terrifying a 6-star true emperor's laws would be. For a moment, Dandan's formation couldn't bind the opponent. It wasn't that Dandan's formation wasn't strong enough. If Dandan had an hour to set it up, not to mention a 6-star true emperor, even a peak true emperor would be trapped. However, he didn't have enough time. Blue Cloud's eyes lit up. "Brat, you're finished. I'm going to cripple you and break all your limbs." Blue Cloud roared, hating Lu Ming to the bone. "You talk too much." Lu Ming continued to stomp on Blue Cloud's face. Blue Cloud's face was about to explode. He didn't even recognize him anymore. Next, the fallen star bow appeared in Lu Ming's hand. He suddenly pulled on the fallen star bow, and a 7-colored arrow appeared. Buzz. Lu Ming loosened his grip and the bowstring vibrated, causing eardrums to ring. The 7-colored arrow suddenly flew toward the 6-star true emperor from the Lan clan. At such a close distance, the fallen star bow's power was at its peak. However, the 6-star true emperor was too strong. He roared and released sound waves from his mouth. These sound waves contained the power of various laws, and rushed toward the 7-colored arrow. The arrow was blocked. It vibrated continuously in midair, creating sound waves. But in the end, the arrow still shattered. "Lock for me," Dandan shouted and waved his hands. Runes filled the air and more chains appeared, wrapping around the 6-star true emperor from the Lan clan. In order to stop Lu Ming's arrow, The six-star true emperor diverted some of his power and was almost bound by Dandan's chains. Once again Lu Ming pulled the bowstring. The surging saint power continuously surged into the bow. Whoosh! Another arrow aimed for the forehead of the six-star true emperor from the Lan clan. Lu Ming, I'll help you. On the other side, Kenfei Ryu shouted. He waved his hand and the sword above his head vibrated. It turned into a sword ray and slashed at the six-star true emperor with frightening power. The six-star true emperor of the Lan family roared and tried his best to resist. He waved his arms continuously, vibrating a terrifying force to resist the chains around him, as well as Lu Ming's arrows and flying sword gleams. Bang! Bang! An explosion sounded out as the arrow was destroyed. Jianfilia's sword was also sent flying back to Jianfilia's head. However, the six-star true emperor from the Lan clan was distracted by Lu Ming and Jianfilia's attacks. Finally, Dandan seized the opportunity and chained the six-star true emperor from the Lan clan with countless chains. 1 chain, 2 chains, several chains coiled around the six-star true emperor from the Lan clan, slowing him down. Blue Cloud's heart sank. However, at this moment, streaks of purple and red light shot towards them from afar. It was the experts of the evil god tribe. Clearly, the experts of the evil god tribe were also attracted by the red light emitted from Mulan's body. Lu Ming's expression changed. Kenfei Ryu's expression changed as well. In the blink of an eye, the people from the evil god tribe arrived. They immediately saw Mulan, who was sitting cross-legged in the pool, and their eyes burned with a fiery light. Take the treasure. We can't let the people of the heaven world get it. One of the evil god tribe members said. Immediately, the evil god tribe members rushed toward Mulan's. Damn it! Lu Ming roared. He pulled the fallen star bow and shot several arrows. Bang! Bang! Several evil god tribe members were killed by Lu Ming in the air. At the same time, Kenfei Ryu controlled the sword above his head to slash at the evil god tribe members. However, there was a terrifying expert among the evil god tribe. He punched and sent Kenfei Ryu's sword flying. Kenfei Ryu's face turned pale, and he almost vomited blood. Chapter 22:11. Dandan also made a move, but he could not block it at all. Courting death. A member of the evil god race targeted Lu Ming and attacked Lu Ming. Haha. Serves you right. Blue Cloud laughed in his heart. Taking this opportunity, he began to struggle, wanting to break free from the shackles of the chains. Boom. The six-star true emperor of the Lan family finally broke free and came to Blue Cloud's side to protect him. Attack together and kill the evil god race. The treasure must not be obtained by the evil god race. Dandan shouted, instigating the others to attack. Many people looked at each other and made a move. They had no choice but to face the evil god race. They were their common enemy. No matter who got the treasure, they could not let it fall into the hands of the evil god race. However, the people of the heaven world were too late. There were already experts of the evil god race approaching Mulan's. Kenfei Ryu was alone beside Mulan's. He could not stop the other party at all. It seems that I can only use the celestial emperor's physical body, Lu Ming thought. Just as he was about to use the celestial emperor's physical body, a layer of light suddenly spread out from the cave behind Mulan's and Kenfei Ryu, blocking in front of Mulan's and Kenfei Ryu. Boom. The experts of the evil god race rushed over and bombarded the light with terrifying attacks. However, the light did not move at all. Not even a ripple was produced. Master! Kenfei Ryu was overjoyed. Then a figure walked out of the cave. It was an old man with a head of white hair. He wore a gray robe and had a cold expression. Others could not sense a trace of aura from him, nor did they know his cultivation level. He was like an ordinary person. However, when his gaze swept over, everyone's hair stood on end. There was a great sense of horror. Not good, let's go. A high-level true emperor of the evil god race revealed a look of horror. He roared and frantically retreated. Evil god race kill. The gray-robed old man said coldly. The moment he spoke, many longswords automatically appeared in the air, shooting out rapidly. All the members of the evil god tribe were pierced through their foreheads. It didn't matter whether they were true emperors or void emperors, unable to withstand a single blow. In an instant, all the members of the evil god tribe, over 100 of them, died. Hiss on the heaven realm side, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This old man was definitely a terrifying expert, at the very least a grand emperor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill a high-level true emperor so easily. However, how did a great emperor realm expert come here? Could it be that the other party had been living here all along? However, one thing was certain, the other party was from the heaven realm. They were friends and not enemies. So it's this guy. He's actually still alive. Dandan came to Lu Ming's side and whispered, "You know him?" Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubble. "Yes, we met once in the past. However, he's just a junior. When you see me, you have to respectfully call me senior." Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and began to boast again. However, Lu Ming was still very shocked. It was obvious that this was an expert from the same era as Dandan. He was an expert from the ancient era and had lived until now. Obviously, after the battle back then, he didn't die. "Master." Kenfei Ryu bowed respectfully to the old man. The gray-robed old man nodded. Then, he swept his gaze across the people from the heaven realm and said in a cold voice, "Leave this place. This is my place of cultivation." "Yes, senior." Some people cupped their fists and didn't dare to say anything. They bowed to the old man and turned to leave. "Master, the two of them are my friends." Kenfei Ryu pointed to Lu Ming and Dandan. "They can stay." The gray-robed old man glanced at Dandan and Lu Ming, especially Dandan. "Senior, can you let me take them away?" Blue Cloud asked. He had broken free from the chains with the help of his subordinates. He knew that he couldn't get the treasure, but he didn't want to let go of Lu Ming and Dandan. He wanted to take Lu Ming and Dandan away. "Scram." The gray-robed old man only replied with one word. "Senior, this junior is the successor of the Lan clan. Please give me some face." Blue Cloud cupped his fists. Scram. This time, the old man's voice was even colder. A powerful force erupted along with the word scram, and rushed toward Blue Cloud's group. The faces of Lan Yin and the rest changed drastically. Their bodies flew out and fell to the ground, each of them vomiting blood. Even a 6-star true emperor couldn't resist at all. "Young master, go. The 6-star true emperor, Lan Yun, and the group left in a sorry state, disappearing in the blink of an eye. "Ha ha ha, evil swordsman, long time no see. I didn't expect you to still be alive." After the people from the heaven realm left, Dandan laughed and walked over to greet the gray-robed elder. Jian Filiu was dumbfounded as he watched. The gray-robed old man coldly glanced at Dandan. "So it's you, the coward. Good people don't live long while scourges live for 1,000 years. Hey you, how can you say that?" Dandan glared at the gray-robed old man. The gray-robed old man ignored Dandan and flashed into the cave. "Ha ha ha." Lu Ming laughed. "Brat, what are you laughing about?" Dandan glared at Lu Ming. He was just bragging that the gray-robed old man was his junior. Now he was being treated like this by the old man. "Sigh, people's hearts are not what they used to be. Look at how weak I am now, and this attitude is so pitiful." Dandan sighed. "Lu Ming. Long time no see." Kenfei Ryu came over and greeted Lu Ming. "Indeed, it's been more than 10 years, almost 20 years. Lu Ming lamented that time had passed too quickly. It had been so long since they last met. Fortunately, Kenfei Ryu was fine and his cultivation had skyrocketed. It was truly hard to predict. "Senior, you are." Jian Filia looked at Dandan with a respectful look on his face. Since Dandan knew his master, he naturally treated Dandan as a senior expert. "I'm the invincible." Dandan put his hands behind his back and began to brag. Lu Ming immediately interrupted him. "He's just a scammer who brags all day. Ignore him." "What? Lu Ming, what did you say?" Dandan was unhappy. He gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Ming. "By the way, brother Jian, what happened to you back then? Also, why is senior sister Mulin's here? What's her situation now?" Lu Ming asked several questions in a row. He was indeed full of questions. "Mulin's is your senior sister?" Kenfei Ryu was surprised. "That's right. She is my senior sister. Previously, there was an anomaly in the divine wilderness and a passageway appeared. 6 years ago, Senior Sister Mulan stepped into that passageway and never returned. Not long ago, I also stepped into that passageway and came here. Chapter 22:12. Lu Ming gave a brief account of how he came to this place. Jian Filiu also gave a brief account of his experience. Back then, Kenfei Ryu's cultivation was crippled, and he was on the verge of death. After entering the blood pool, he was taken away by a mysterious person. That mysterious person was his master, the gray-robed elder from before, the evil sword master that Dandan had mentioned. According to Kenfei Ryu, at that time, the passageway to Nine Dragon City in the Divine Wilderness had already cracked open. Evil Sword Master brought Kenfei Ryu from the blood pool to cleanse his meridians and cleanse his marrows. Then he cultivated Evil Sword Master's unique way of the sword. Evil Sword Master's unique way of the sword was very special. Back then, when Kenfei Ryu's cultivation was crippled, he happened to be compatible with Evil Sword Master's unique way of the sword. All these years he had been cultivating with Evil Sword Master. His cultivation had improved rapidly, and he was now a 2-star empty emperor. Lu Ming nodded. Evil Sword Master was definitely a very powerful existence. In the ancient past he knew Dandan. Furthermore, he was able to participate in the great battle back then, and survive in the end. Under the tutelage of such an expert, and in such a good cultivation environment like the Heaven Realm, it was normal for Jian Filiu to improve rapidly. Senior Sister Mulan, what's wrong with her? Lu Ming looked at Mulan's again. 6 years ago, Master saved Mulan's at the passageway. Moreover, Miss Mulan's coincidentally resonated with the inheritance of a friend of Master's and inherited that senior's inheritance. In the blink of an eye, 5 years have passed. Kenfei Ryu said. 5 years? You're saying that Senior Mulan's has been like this for 5 years? Lu Ming asked. That's right. According to Master's prediction, Miss Mulan's should be waking up soon. Kenfei Ryu said. Lu Ming nodded. He was going to stay here and wait for Mulan's to wake up. After that, Lu Ming and Dandan stayed here. Time passed day by day. The Taiching Heavenly Domain and Hunyuan Heavenly Domain were neighbors, and the passage between the two heavenly domains had long been turned into a battlefield. The two heavenly domains had fought for many years, and countless bones had been buried. On one side of the battlefield was the Taiching Domain. Two World City was there, blocking the entrance to the Taiching Domain. On the other side of the battlefield was the territory occupied by the Evil God tribe. There were many strange and sinister-looking buildings here, and countless experts of the Evil God tribe were gathered here. In one of the buildings, a group of people from the Evil God race were having a discussion. Among these members of the Evil God tribe, most of them were covered in purple scales. Only a few of them were covered in black scales. All of them had extremely terrifying auras. They were all terrifying experts. The most shocking thing was that there was a member of the Evil God race at the very top. This member of the Evil God race had a body that was no different from an ordinary person. He was slightly taller than a human, about 2 meters tall. There were no scales on his body, but there was a third eye at the center of his brows. His head was full of purple hair, and he was extremely eye-catching. This was the royal member of the Evil God race. The ancestor has sent another message. That passage isn't completely sealed, and there's still hope of breaking it open. So this time, no matter what, we must break open that passage. Once we have that passage, our army can directly reach the Yuan realm, and then through the Yuan realm, enter the Taiching domain, and destroy the two heavenly domains in one fell swoop. All of you send people to kill their way into that battlefield. The royal member of the Evil God race gave the order. Yes, at all costs. The numerous members of the Evil God race received the order. Soon, figure after figure flew into the battlefield, flying towards the ancient battlefield where Lu Ming and the others were. Among these people, there was no lack of Emperor Realm figures. Heavenly Emperors didn't dare to enter, because once they did, they would attract the attention of all the experts' imprints, and they would be hunted down by all the experts' imprints. They wouldn't rest until they were dead. Unless one's cultivation reached a certain level and wasn't weaker than those peerless experts of the past, they wouldn't need to fear those imprints, such as the few ancestors of the Evil God race. Time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, Half a month had passed. During this period, Lu Ming cultivated while waiting for Mulins to wake up. On this day Lu Ming was cultivating. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in the cave, and a figure appeared. It was Evil Swordsman. In this half a month, Evil Swordsman hadn't appeared. According to Qinfei Ryu, his master had been severely injured in the ancient war, and it was lucky that he hadn't died. His cultivation and combat strength were no longer the same as before, and he had been in seclusion to heal his injuries. Why had he suddenly appeared now? Evil Swordsman looked up at the sky, seeming to have a lot on his mind. After a long while he sighed. It seems that the passage hasn't completely collapsed, and it hasn't been completely sealed. It can still be opened. Passage. When Lu Ming heard that, he couldn't help but worry. He asked, "Senior, the passage you're talking about, is it the one that leads to the Yuan realm?" "That's right, little guy. You must have come here from the Yuan realm through that passage," Evil Swordsman said. "That's right, Senior. Could it be that the evil god tribe wants to enter the Yuan realm through that passage?" Immediately Lu Ming was worried, and his heart was in his throat. If the evil god tribe entered the Yuan realm through that passage, then the divine wilderness continent would be finished. It's not that easy. Look. Evil Swordsman waved his hand, and an image immediately appeared in mid-air. Figures shuttled through the air, and they were all from the evil god tribe. Suddenly, light filled the air, and a figure appeared. It was the mark of a peerless expert. Kill. When the mark of a peerless expert appeared, his killing intent surged. He held a long spear in his hand, and it pierced through the void, instantly killing 7 or 8 evil god tribe members. Then, the long spear swept through again, and a terrifying figure exploded in the air. "That's a great emperor-level evil god tribe member." Lu Ming was shocked. The last evil god tribe member that was blown up was definitely a great emperor-level existence, but he still couldn't block the attack of the expert's mark. Spread out. The members of the evil god race howled as they fled in all directions. That supreme expert's imprint continued to pierce out with its spear, killing a few more evil god race experts. However, the other members of the evil god race all fled. This is just a corner. This time, many experts from the evil god tribe have entered, and there is no lack of great emperor-level figures. Their goal is that passage. Look again. Then Evil Swordsman waved his hand again, and the image changed again. On the image, a void appeared. That void was extremely unstable, and cracks in space would appear from time to time. They would disappear in a flash, and it was very sinister and terrifying. Not far from that void, there were many figures standing in the air, and all of them were experts from the evil god tribe. Some of the evil god tribe members were bombarding that unstable void, and some of them were setting up a large array in the surroundings. Could this be the entrance of the passage from before? Lu Ming guessed. That's right. This is the entrance of the passage. A shocking battle happened there previously, and the passage exploded and collapsed. However, it wasn't completely sealed, and there is still hope of opening it. Evil Swordsman said. "Senior, what exactly is going on? Why is there a passage here?" Chapter 22:13. Lu Ming was full of doubts. Why was there a passageway that led to the divine region? Why was the divine region guarded by the 9-dragon cauldron and the 9-dragon veins? Why did the 9-dragon cauldron fly away previously? Lu Ming asked all these questions. Evil Sword Master pondered for a moment before saying, "That passageway was naturally formed when the 2 worlds of the Tian Yuan realm first opened." Naturally formed? Lu Ming muttered. That's right. This kind of naturally formed passageway is completely different from man-made ones. It's very difficult to seal a naturally formed passageway. Even if it's sealed, it will slowly open on its own with the passage of time. It's like forcibly tearing a crack or opening a passageway in space. The space will quickly heal and repair itself. Naturally formed passageways are the opposite. If you want to seal it, it will naturally open and return to its original state. Evil Sword Master explained. Lu Ming understood now. Naturally formed passageways were naturally formed and would always be fixed, just like any piece of space. You had the ability to tear any piece of space, but that piece of space would quickly recover. Naturally formed passageways were the same. If you sealed them, they would naturally open up. That passageway leads to the Yuan realm. Therefore, in ancient times it became an important place for the evil god tribe to attack. That's why there was a great war here, and many peerless experts died in battle. Later on, one of the top 10 battle beasts, the Nine Dragon, entered the Yuan realm and sealed the other end of the passageway. In the heaven domain, there were also experts who sealed the passageway here. However, that passageway was naturally formed. No matter how it was sealed, it would slowly recover. Even if the person who sealed it was a rare peerless expert, it couldn't be sealed forever. After so many years, the seal finally couldn't completely seal the passageway. The passageway is slowly opening up. Evil Sword Master's words enlightened Lu Ming. Many things that he couldn't figure out in the past suddenly made sense. He finally understood what the Nine Dragon Cauldron and the Nine Dragon Veins were for. They were used by the Nine Dragon to seal the passageway. He used to think that the divine Nine Dragon Cauldron just happened to have the same name as the Nine Dragons. Now it seemed that it was a treasure of the Nine Dragons. More than 10 years ago, the passageway was slowly restored and could no longer be sealed. Therefore, the divine wilderness continent and the heavenly realm were connected, causing the origin chi to become denser. As for the reason why the divine Nine Dragon Cauldrons flew to the heavenly realm separately, it was probably because they wanted to stall for time. When the divine Nine Dragon Cauldrons arrived at the heavenly realm, they wanted to stop their auras from spreading and let the evil god race detect them. As expected, Evil Sword Artist continued. Some time ago, the evil god tribe finally discovered the abnormality of this passage. The evil god tribe sent out a few terrifying experts, wanting to take over the passage completely. They fought a huge battle with the experts guarding the passage. In the end, the experts guarding the passage and the treasures left behind by the Nine Dragons wanted to destroy the passage. Now, it seems like it wasn't completely destroyed. Senior, can that tunnel be completely destroyed? Lu Ming asked in surprise. No, it can only be destroyed temporarily. After a period of time, it will automatically recover. Otherwise, there would be no need to go through so much trouble to seal it back then. Evil Sword Artist shook his head and sighed. Then, what should we do now? Lu Ming was really anxious. This involved the safety of his parents, relatives, and friends. It was difficult for him to remain calm. This passage must not be taken over by the evil god tribe. Otherwise, everyone's efforts over the years will be in vain. Evil Sword Artist said. His voice was cold and filled with cold-killing intent. Senior, we can pass the news to the Two-World City. The Two-World City will not sit by and do nothing. Lu Ming suggested. This not only concerned the primordial realm, but also the heavenly realm. Once the evil god tribe entered the primordial realm, and entered the grand pure sky domain through the passageway, the heavenly realm would be completely finished. Those guys who came in previously all came from the Two-World City. Pass the news to them, and let them pass the news to the people in the Two-World City. Evil Sword Artist nodded. Buzz. At this moment, a buzzing sound was heard. Mulan's, who had been silent all this while, finally moved. The small pagoda above her head emitted a bright light. The blood in the blood pool wriggled and seeped into Mulan's body. Soon, the blood in the blood pool disappeared without a trace. A powerful aura emanated from Mulan's body. Quasi-Emperor. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Mulan's cultivation was at the Quasi-Emperor realm. The inheritance that she had received was definitely left behind by an extremely powerful existence. It was not as simple as a simple inheritance. Otherwise, Mulan's would not have reached the Quasi-Emperor realm in just 5 to 6 years. This little girl is actually so compatible with that guy's inheritance. It's rare. Evil Sword Artist muttered. Dandan was envious. Buzz. The small blood-colored pagoda vibrated slightly, and then shrank rapidly. It flew into Mulan's forehead and disappeared. Mulan slowly opened her eyes. A blood-red light flashed in her eyes and then disappeared. Her gaze swept across Lu Ming and the others. When her gaze fell on Lu Ming, her delicate body could not help but tremble. She was in disbelief. Am I hallucinating again? Mulan's muttered. Her beautiful big eyes blinked hard a few times to confirm. Lu Ming smiled and said, Senior Sister Mullins, long time no see. Why don't you recognize me? Lu Ming. Mullins whispered. She was pleasantly surprised and flew out of the small pool. Still in disbelief, she said, Junior brother Lu Ming, why are you here? Of course I was worried about you and missed you. So I followed that passage to find you. The one who spoke was not Lu Ming but Dandan. Lu Ming touched his nose and was speechless. Mullins blushed. You two little guys, stop flirting. It's time to get down to business. Evil Swordsman said. Mullins blushed even more. However, her cultivation had increased tremendously, and she had reached the Emperor-to-be realm. Furthermore, she had obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert. Her confidence had increased greatly and her original personality was completely revealed. She came to Lu Ming's side and stared at Lu Ming without blinking. She did not seem to want to look away. Hey, you're so mushy. Dandan cried out. Junior brother, what happened? Mullins ignored Dandan and asked Lu Ming. Lu Ming explained the passage briefly. After hearing it, Mullins's face turned pale. She understood the seriousness of the matter. Furthermore, her family was in the divine region. I'm going to the passage immediately. When the time comes, you guys will be in danger if you stay here. You guys should enter my small world first. Evil Swordsman said. Senior, I'll stay outside. I might be able to help. Lu Ming said. No matter what, he still had the physical body of the Heavenly Emperor. It might be useful at a critical moment. I'll stay outside too. Chapter 22:14. All right, the two of you, enter the small world. Evil Swordmaster waved his hand and sent Kinfei Ryu and Mullins into the small world. Then, a wave of energy swept up Lu Ming and Dandan. In a flash, they appeared outside the castle. Then, Evil Swordmaster brought Lu Ming and the rest to find Lu Hao and the rest. Lu Ming realized that when Evil Swordmaster walked in this area, the seals of the top experts did not attack him. Lu Ming guessed that perhaps Evil Swordmaster's cultivation level was high enough. Or perhaps he had some secret technique that allowed him to avoid the attacks of the seals. When they saw Evil Swordmaster, Lu Hao and the rest were shocked and bowed respectfully. Lu Ming immediately told them about the passageway. What? Lu Hao and the rest were shocked when they heard it. They knew that this was a huge matter that concerned the fate of the Heaven region. Let's leave this place immediately and inform the seniors in Two World City. Lu Hao and the rest agreed. They did not dare to delay and rushed out of the battlefield. Evil Swordmaster brought Lu Ming and Dandan towards the passageway. Not long after, they approached the passageway and hid in the sky, watching from afar. There were many members of the evil god race circling around the void, moving around continuously. Beams of light shot into the void one after another. There were also members of the evil god tribe who formed huge hands and wanted to tear the void apart to reopen the passageway. The evil god tribe is setting up an array. They want to use the power of the array to reopen the passageway. Evil Swordmaster transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and Dandan. Senior, what should we do? Lu Ming also transmitted his voice. When the experts from Two World City arrive, we'll kill them. There's no other way now. However, the Heavenly Emperors will not dare to come. At most, they will be peak Great Emperors. Although I have not recovered from my injuries, I'm still confident in dealing with Great Emperors. Evil Swordmaster said as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Hearing this, Lu Ming's heart calmed down. Next, they waited quietly. A day later. He's here. Evil Sword Guest suddenly said. In the distance, a few figures flashed over. They were very secretive. If not for Evil Sword Guest's warning, Lu Ming and the rest would not have noticed them. Evil Swordmaster's lips moved slightly as if he was sending a telepathic message. In the next moment, those figures headed towards Lu Ming and the rest. There were a total of 3 people, 2 old men and 1 middle-aged man. Their bodies were bathed in blood, and it was clear that they had gone through a great battle. Although the 3 of them had completely restrained their auras, Lu Ming could still feel that these 3 people were absolutely terrifying experts. Senior. When the 3 of them arrived, they cupped their fists at Evil Swordmaster. Why is it only the 3 of you? Why didn't the others come for such a big event? Evil Swordmaster frowned. Sigh, the others can't come. An elder sighed. His hair was disheveled, and his entire body was covered in blood. It was clear that he had experienced a bitter battle. What happened? Evil Sword Master asked. Lu Ming and Dandan's hearts were in their mouths. They had a bad premonition. A day ago, the evil god tribe suddenly sent out a large army to attack Two World City. They surrounded the outside of Two World City. Now there's still a bitter battle in Two World City. Most of the experts are pinned down. Originally, there were more than 10 of us. We broke out of the encirclement and wanted to stop the evil god tribe from opening the passageway. However, there was a battle on the way. When we entered this battlefield, we were attacked by the expert seals. Out of the 10 of us, only the 3 of us made it here. After the elder finished speaking, he let out a long sigh. The 10 of them who broke out of the encirclement were all experts. Unfortunately, in order to come here, they had lost so many people. It was definitely a huge loss. However, in order to stop the evil god tribe, they had no choice. In order to open the passageway, the evil god tribe had sent a large number of experts here. Their losses were definitely shocking. It seems that the evil god tribe is well prepared. They are afraid that the experts of Two World City will discover them and come to stop them. Evil Sword Master's gaze was even colder. Now we have no choice but to kill our way in. At this moment, the passageway in front of them shone brightly. The evil god tribe seemed to have set up a large array and started to activate it. Endless light condensed into something that looked like a huge spiral drill. It faced the void and seemed to be drilling a new passageway at the original location of the passageway. Rumble. The space trembled and collapsed continuously, revealing a pitch-black cave. There's no time to lose. Attack. The 2 of you stay here. Evil Sword Master glanced at Lu Ming and Dandan. In a flash, he charged toward the experts of the evil god tribe. Evil Sword Master's speed was shocking. In a few flashes, he was close to the evil god tribe. Enemy attack. There were too many experts of the evil god tribe. The moment Evil Sword Master got close, the other party discovered him. Someone shouted. Swoosh. Evil Sword Master attacked. A long sword appeared in his hand. With a slash, sword light shook the sky. A powerful evil god tribe member was directly split into 2 and his soul was obliterated. So strong. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. That evil god tribe member was definitely a great emperor, but he was instantly killed by Evil Sword Master. Although Evil Sword Master had yet to recover from his injuries, his combat strength was still terrifying. This guy was many times stronger than he is now when he was at his peak. In the heaven domain, he's a peerless expert. Of course, compared to me, there's still a gap, Dandan said, not forgetting to boast. Kill. Evil Sword Master shouted. A terrifying aura exploded, and the heavens and earth were filled with an indescribable pressure. Evil Sword Master wore a gray robe and looked very old. However, when he attacked, he had a domineering aura. Evil chi surged from his body, and his sword light seemed to split the heavens and earth. Poof. Poof. Several experts of the evil god tribe were killed by Evil Sword Master. Break. Evil Sword Master shouted. A sword light slashed above the void. The void was directly split open, and countless runes appeared there. Then those runes exploded. This was the array that the evil god tribe had set up. Evil Sword Master had cut a section of it. At the same time, the drill that was condensed by the array exploded with a bang and disappeared from the place. Kill him. The experts of the evil god tribe shouted. Their auras exploded, shaking the heavens and earth. So many great emperors. Lu Ming was shocked. There were too many great emperors in the evil god tribe. Most of them were extremely terrifying. Their auras were far stronger than the Hung family great emperor and great emperor Wuxia that Lu Ming had met before. Many of them were definitely high-level great emperors. Some were even peak great emperors. With so many great emperors joining forces, it was too terrifying. However, Evil Sword Master was even stronger. With a metal sword in his hand, he charged into the evil god tribe. With a slash of his sword, an expert was killed. With a slash of his sword, blood splattered everywhere. The 3 experts from Two World City also made their move. Chapter 22:15. The 3 from Two World City are all peak great emperors. However, there are many peak great emperors in the evil god tribe. They can only hold back a portion of the forces, and won't be of much use. Evil swordsman is the key. Dandan sent a message to Lu Ming. Although his cultivation was not as strong as it was in the ancient era, he was still able to judge one's cultivation based on their aura. Surround and kill them. The experts from the evil god tribe roared. There were at least 4 or 5 of them who were as strong as the 3 from Two World City. They surrounded evil swordsmen. According to Dandan, they were all peak great emperors. Evil swordsman's evil aura became denser as he fought with his opponents. Poof. After a few slashes, one of the peak great emperors was killed by evil swordsman. Although evil swordsman had not recovered from his injuries, his fighting strength was still terrifying. Kill. Evil swordsman roared as his sword light soared into the sky. The sword light was thousands of miles long and extremely terrifying. As he slashed out, the void shattered. Many of the weaker evil god tribe members were swept into the sword light and turned into ashes. Heavenly Emperor. It's the Heavenly Emperor. How can the Heavenly Emperor come here? Many of the evil god tribe members roared in anger and disbelief. Too many peerless experts had died in the past in this region, and left behind their imprints. Once they sensed a powerful expert, those imprints would appear and kill the enemy, especially the Heavenly Emperor. Once he came to this region, the imprints of the experts would sense it, and they would even leave their original location to attack and kill the Heavenly Emperor. In the past, there were Heavenly Emperors who had come here, but they had all died. Of course, the terrifying Heavenly Emperors were an exception. Their strength was not weaker than those peerless experts when they were alive. With such strength, they were not afraid even when those experts were alive. Why would they be afraid when they were dead? However, evil swordsman's fighting strength was not that of a peerless expert. He was only an ordinary Heavenly Emperor. How could he come here? Swoosh. Swoosh. Evil swordsman slashed out continuously. Every time he slashed out, an evil god tribe member would die under his sword. At the same time, the void shattered and the array set up by the evil god tribe was destroyed. Heavenly Emperor weapons. Someone from the evil god tribe shouted. Wang. Wang. Several terrifying waves of energy spread out in succession. Then a huge axe, a huge mountain, and a saber appeared in the sky. This was a Celestial Emperor weapon. A weapon controlled by the Celestial Emperor. Celestial Emperors themselves could not enter. But Celestial Emperors could bring their weapons in. When the Celestial Great Imperial weapons didn't awaken, those imprints couldn't be sensed. Besides, they were inanimate objects, so those imprints wouldn't have any reaction. Boom. 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 The 3 Celestial Emperor weapons were awakened and emitted a terrifying energy fluctuation. The energy of the heavenly way shot towards evil swordsmen. If the Celestial Emperor armament is not controlled by the Celestial Emperor, how much power can it unleash? I'll show you the true power of a Celestial Dharch weapon. Evil sword artist said coldly. The long sword in his hand let out a terrifying sword whistle. Clang. Sword cries filled the sky as several terrifying sword radiances shot out from evil swordmaster's hands. Dong. 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 3 terrifying collisions rang out. The 3 Heavenly Emperor armaments of the evil god race trembled violently and were sent flying. The 3 evil god race experts controlling the Heavenly Emperor armaments coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. Their bodies cracked and in the end, they directly exploded. Without a doubt, the long sword in evil sword artist's hand was also a Celestial Emperor weapon. Under his control, it was extremely powerful. You're courting death. At this moment, a roar could be heard from afar. An extremely terrifying aura was rushing towards them. Then, a huge demonic shadow appeared between heaven and earth. The demonic shadow was extremely huge, like a mountain. It stood between heaven and earth, and was heading towards them. Old Ancestor. The evil god tribe members were overjoyed. This is... Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and he looked extremely solemn. When he had passed through the passage from the primordial realm, he had seen 4 huge demonic shadows fighting against the 9 divine 9 dragon cauldrons. This demonic shadow was extremely similar to one of the previous 4. Boom. The demonic shadow moved. It punched out and the void shattered. The huge fist was wrapped in void turbulence and headed towards evil sword artist. At this moment, Evil sword artist's eyes were extremely solemn. The long sword in his hand vibrated continuously, and his aura became stronger. Swoosh. In the end, evil sword artist slashed out with his sword. A shocking sword light slashed towards the huge fist. When the sword light and the fist collided, there was an ear-piercing sound. Although they were still far away, Lu Ming felt a piercing pain in his eardrums. The blood in his body was boiling, and he felt like his body was about to explode. Dandan also used his strength to resist. He was slightly better off than Lu Ming. Bam! Then evil sword artist's sword light shattered. The remaining strength of the fist blasted towards evil sword artist, causing him to retreat frantically. Not good. Senior evil sword artist is no match for him. Lu Ming's face turned ugly. That's the old ancestor of the evil god tribe. He's an unparalleled elite. However, he should be injured. His combat strength is far from his peak, Dandan said. Lu Ming knew that the old ancestor of the evil god tribe must have been injured when he fought with the divine nine-dragon cauldron, and the huge true dragon in the sky. An ancient antique from the primordial era. Today, I'll send you on your way. The old ancestor of the evil god tribe spoke. His voice rumbled in the sky. His body started to shrink, and he became more than 3 meters tall. His speed increased greatly, and he instantly closed in on evil sword artist. This was also a member of the evil god tribe with purple scales. He wasn't a member of the royal family, but a member of the evil god tribe. However, his cultivation had already reached a terrifying realm. His palm was like a knife as he slashed out a few times towards evil sword artist. Evil sword artist fought with him, but he was no match for him. After a few moves, evil sword artist trembled violently, and was sent flying far away. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Although the old ancestor of the evil god tribe was also injured, his injuries were far less severe than evil sword artist's. In the primordial era, evil sword artist had almost died in battle. He was only left with a wisp of his soul. After so many years, he still hadn't recovered. His combat strength was too far from his peak. Kill. The old ancestor of the evil god tribe had the upper hand, and his attacks were even more violent. You're just a junior. I'll fight with you. Blood flowed from evil sword artist's mouth, but his eyes were exceptionally bright. At this moment, a layer of light shone on his body, burning fiercely like a flame. At the same time, evil sword artist's aura surged wildly. Evil sword artist is going to go all out, Dandan said as he watched with rapt attention. Clang. Evil sword artist slashed out with his sword. A sword light that was several times more terrifying than before slashed towards the old ancestor of the evil god tribe. The old ancestor of the evil god tribe had a serious look on his face. A battle axe appeared in his hand, and he charged towards evil sword artist. Clang. Clang. The two experts let out a terrifying explosion as they fought fiercely. For a moment, it was difficult to determine the victor. The two of them charged into the sky and fought. Chapter 22:16. The intense battle continued, but the situation was getting worse for the heavenly domain. They had too few people. Dandan, can we only watch? Is there any way we can help? Lu Ming asked anxiously. Although he had the heavenly emperor's body, it only had about 10% of its energy. However, there were a lot of great emperors in the evil god tribe, and there was no lack of peak great emperors. In such a battle, the heavenly emperor's body was not very useful. He was afraid that if he controlled the heavenly emperor's body, its energy would be exhausted in a few moves. At that time, he could only wait for death. Our cultivation is too far away from theirs. We can't help at all. Dandan was also a little anxious. No matter how knowledgeable, resourceful, and crafty he was at his wit's end. Oh right. Suddenly Lu Ming thought of something. His eyes lit up and he said, "Where is the divine nine-dragon cauldron? If there is the divine nine-dragon cauldron, we might be able to help." Lu Ming had refined 9 drops of nine-dragon blood essence, and could control the divine nine-dragon cauldron. As long as he could find the divine nine-dragon cauldron, with Lu Ming's current cultivation, once he controlled it, its power would definitely be amazing. Dandan's eyes also lit up and he said, "Let's look around nearby." Immediately, The two of them restrained their auras and avoided the battlefield, searching nearby. Lu Ming's mind was highly focused as he sensed carefully. However, they did not dare to get close to the battlefield, and could only search in the surrounding area. After searching for more than half a circle, they did not find anything. The two of them were not discouraged and continued to search. When the two of them came to the back of the passageway, Lu Ming suddenly felt something. He felt that the blood in his body was a little hot, and his circulation was changing faster. There is really a feeling. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he looked around. It was a messy pile of rocks, piled up everywhere in a mess. These rocks are not natural. They were shattered. Could it be that the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron was underground? Blasted into the ground? Dandan guessed. The two of them rushed into the pile of rocks. Lu Ming's feeling became stronger and stronger. Let me. Dandan's entire body glowed as it transformed into its original form, a gigantic tortoise. I'll dig. The giant tortoise began to dig at the ground with its 4 limbs. Immediately, gravel flew everywhere, and a large area of soil was lifted up. Not long after, a piece of metal was exposed. It's really the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This piece of metal was the material of the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming wouldn't be mistaken. Dandan also became excited and began to dig crazily. He used the power of laws, causing large amounts of soil to tremble and be sent flying. Lu Ming also helped. He converted the law of primal chaos into the law of earth to help excavate. Large chunks of soil loosened and flew out automatically. A Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron appeared, followed by a second, a third. Soon, 9 mountain-sized 9 dragon cauldrons appeared in their vision. The 9 dragon veins are gone. No, they are on top of the dragon cauldron. Lu Ming looked around and found something different about the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron originally had a true dragon pattern engraved on it, but now, there was an additional pattern on it. This pattern was very similar to the dragon veins, vivid and lifelike. However, the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron didn't seem to have any energy fluctuations. It was like a piece of scrap metal. Lu Ming hugged a Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron, but there was no reaction from it at all. What's going on? Why is there no reaction? Lu Ming was puzzled. It should be that its energy has been exhausted. Even the energy of the dragon veins has been exhausted. Dandan said, frowning and deep in thought. One could imagine that the previous battle was definitely tragic. Even the energy of the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron and the 9 dragon veins had been exhausted. However, the results of the battle were also shocking. The passage was destroyed, and the evil god tribe's patriarch was seriously injured. Lu Ming, you have refined the blood essence of the 9 dragons. Try it with your blood, Dandan suddenly said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Blood seeped out of his palm on its own. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and his palm continuously smacked the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron, leaving a bloody handprint on each of the 9 cauldrons. Awaken! Lu Ming roared. The muscles on his body bulged, and all the blood energy in his body started to circulate crazily. Roar! A dragon roar came from Lu Ming's body, reverberating through the sky. This was the sound of the 9 dragons. There's someone over there. The dragon roar traveled very far and finally alarmed the evil god tribe. A few ants. I'll go and kill him. An evil god tribe member walked toward Lu Ming's side at an astonishing speed. This was a large evil god tribe member. Lu Ming, hurry up. Dandan was anxious. Awaken! Lu Ming roared. His blood energy surged, and dragon roars rang out. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron finally reacted. The bloody handprint that Lu Ming left on the cauldron glowed, and was then absorbed by the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron started to vibrate, and its aura became stronger and stronger. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron started to awaken. Awaken! Lu Ming continued to roar. Above his head, the phantom of 9 dragons appeared, causing the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron to vibrate even more violently. At this moment, the evil god tribe's Tharch had already arrived. Kill! The evil god tribe's Tharch shouted coldly. A beam of destructive light shot out from his forehead, enveloping Lu Ming and Dandan within it. It's over. I'm finished. Dandan screamed miserably. Rise! Lu Ming roared. With a wave of his hand, the divine nine-dragon cauldron rushed out from the ground, blocking in front of him. Clang! The evil god tribe's Thearka's destructive light struck the divine nine-dragon cauldron, causing it to vibrate violently. That beam of destructive light was blocked. Suppress! Following which, Lu Ming pushed out with a single hand. The divine nine-dragon cauldron enlarged once more and smashed towards the evil god tribe's Tharch. Ant-like thing dares to attack me? The evil god tribe's Tharch roared coldly. Another beam of light shot out from his forehead, blasting towards the divine nine-dragon cauldron. But this time around, a dragon roar rang out from the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Its might was even stronger. With a tremor, it shattered the destructive light of the evil god tribe's Tharch and continued to smash towards the evil god tribe's Tharch. The evil god tribe's Thearka's eyes narrowed. A battle axe appeared in his hand, and he chopped down at the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Clang! A deafening explosion rang out, reverberating through the skies. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was blocked. However, the evil god tribe's Thearka's body trembled violently. He couldn't help but retreat continuously, his face pale. What a strong might! Again. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With his current cultivation base, controlling the divine nine-dragon cauldron had indeed increased the might of the cauldron. However, perhaps this had something to do with the divine nine-dragon cauldron awakening earlier, causing its might to be even more shocking. Boom! The divine nine-dragon cauldron continued to smash towards the evil god tribe's Tharch. At the same time, the auras of the other divine nine-dragon cauldrons were also getting stronger. Buzz. Chapter 22:17. The two divine nine-dragon cauldrons resonated with each other, and their power multiplied. Boom. The first cauldron pressed down. The evil god tribe Great Emperor's body shook violently, and he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. The arm that held the battle axe cracked, and even the bones were broken. Boom. The second cauldron pressed down. The evil god tribe Great Emperor let out a miserable cry, and his body was torn into pieces. He had fallen. A Great Emperor, even though he should be a low-level Great Emperor, was killed by the continuous attacks of the two divine nine-dragon cauldrons. The divine nine-dragon cauldrons had awakened, and their power was terrifying. Damn it, go and kill them. In the distance, an evil god tribe member noticed this scene, and immediately roared in anger. Swish. 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 At least 5 or 6 evil god tribe members charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Among them, there were even high-level Great Emperors. Come on, fully awaken. Lu Ming let out a long roar. Roar. Lu Ming's body glowed, and 9 dragons coiled around him. The 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons vibrated, and dragon roars could be heard. The 9 dragon veins that coiled around the divine nine-dragon cauldrons seemed to have come to life. They emitted light, and they looked lifelike. Wang. Wang. Next, the 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons flew up and floated around Lu Ming and Dandan. One of them floated above their heads. An array of light shone down, enveloping the 2 of them. The other 8 floated around the 2 of them. At this moment, the evil god tribe members had also arrived. The 6 evil god tribe members were all Great Emperors, and there were even high-level Great Emperors. With so many Great Emperors joining forces, it was definitely terrifying. Kill. Lu Ming roared, and with a push of his hands, the 8 divine nine-dragon cauldrons flew out. They expanded continuously, filling the sky, and pressed down on the 6 evil god tribe members. Within the divine nine-dragon cauldrons, dragon roars could be heard. The 8 cauldrons were even bigger than the immemorial divine mountains, and they were filled with endless power. Bam! Bam! The divine nine-dragon cauldrons pressed down, and the low-level Great Emperor screamed in pain. His body exploded, and he died on the spot. As for the high-level Great Emperor, his body also cracked, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Wang! The 8 divine cauldrons trembled, and a terrifying energy burst out. The high-level evil god tribe Great Emperor's body exploded inch by inch, and he too died. The divine nine-dragon cauldrons contained. The divine nine-dragon cauldrons have awakened. Kill. Dandan was excited. Kill. He Lin shouted evil god. He controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldrons was. Evil was evil, evil was the evil was evil, evil, evil ancestor. Evil sword artist had activated his origin energy, and his combat strength had increased tremendously. However, he could only fight to a draw with the evil god tribe patriarch. Although the three great emperors from Two World City were peak great emperors, there were too many experts on the other side. At that moment, they were in a precarious situation. They were covered in blood and could die at any time. Right then Lu Ming had arrived. Of the 9 cauldrons, 1 was used to protect him, while the other 8 were used to attack the evil god race. The 8 cauldrons covered the sky and covered the sun. A dragon vein appeared on each cauldron, emitting light as it roared toward the sky. The 8 cauldrons resonated with each other, and their power increased exponentially. Boom, boom. The cauldrons pressed down, and the members of the evil god tribe exploded one by one. Those below the level of Great Emperor had no power to fight back. Even for Great Emperors, low-level Great Emperors below the level of 3-star Great Emperors, they couldn't fight back and were killed one after another. Even the high-level Great Emperors above 4 stars couldn't resist. They spurted out blood, and their bodies were on the verge of exploding. A single attack had killed many members of the evil god tribe. Dandan's eyes lit up as she exclaimed in delight. Kill him! The members of the evil god tribe roared. Some of the peak great emperors charged at Lu Ming and Dandan. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9 dragon cauldrons and attacked. Dong! 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 The divine 9 dragon cauldrons clashed with the peak great emperors. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows. The peak great emperors were forced to retreat, spurting out blood. Cracks appeared on his body. The divine 9 dragon cauldrons seemed to have awakened. Even the peak great emperors couldn't resist. Kill! The 3 peak great emperors of the Two World City seized the opportunity to kill one of the enemy's peak great emperors. At the same time, Lu Ming controlled the divine 9 dragon cauldrons and attacked. With Lu Ming's help, they had the upper hand. The experts of the evil god tribe were being hunted down. In just a few minutes, more than 200 members of the evil god tribe were killed. There were dozens of great emperors. This was a shocking result. If this happened in the primordial realm, it would scare people to death. Although this was the battlefield between the Taiching Sky domain and the foreign races, and most of the experts of the 2 worlds were gathered here. There were many great emperors and heavenly emperors. However, it was rare for dozens of great emperors to die at once. The great emperors of the evil god tribe were scared. They retreated when they saw Lu Ming. Go and help senior evil sword guest. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9 dragon cauldrons, and flew toward the battlefield of evil sword guest and the evil god tribe ancestor. Suppress! Lu Ming shouted. He pushed with both hands and the 8 divine 9 dragon cauldrons flew out, and suppressed the evil god tribe ancestor. 2 ants, you are courting death. The evil god tribe ancestor roared. Lu Ming had killed so many experts of the evil god tribe just now. His killing intent was extremely strong. Rays of light burst out from his third eye. It was the light of destruction. However, the light of destruction of the evil god tribe ancestor was not just a ray of light. It could transform into 3-eyed demonic beasts that were as big as mountains. They pounced on Lu Ming and collided with the divine 9 dragon cauldrons. Boom! Boom! Terrifying vibrations resounded through the sky. The void was disintegrating continuously as if it was returning to chaos. The 8 cauldrons were sent flying back. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force pressing on him, almost causing his body to explode. Lu Ming retreated quickly. His face was pale and his blood was boiling. What a terrifying force. Lu Ming finally understood that the evil god tribe ancestor was too strong. He could not be mentioned in the same breath as the great emperor. They were worlds apart. Although the patriarch of the evil god tribe was seriously injured, and was in a fierce battle with the evil swordsman, the destructive light that was emitted from his third eye was able to repel the 9 dragon cauldron, and almost injure Lu Ming. Dandan, let's enter the cauldron, Lu Ming said to Dandan. Dandan nodded. Then, the 2 of them flew into the cauldron above their heads. In the cauldron, the protective power was stronger. External forces would be blocked by the cauldron. Then, Lu Ming controlled the divine 9 dragon cauldron, and let it fly out to meet with the other 8 cauldrons. The combined power of the 9 cauldrons was even more terrifying. The divine 9-dragon cauldron spun and attacked the evil god tribe ancestor. Boom. This time, it finally destroyed the demonic beasts formed by the light of destruction and attacked the evil god tribe ancestor's body. Clang. Chapter 22:18. Evil Swordsman's sword was stunning. It finally broke through the evil god tribe patriarch's attack and charged towards him. The cultivation method of the evil god tribe was not a system of laws. It was very similar to the immemorial system of the heaven domain. They cultivated a strange power that was very powerful. It was both offensive and defensive. At this moment, it was slashed open by evil swordsman's sword light. A deep sword wound was left on the evil god tribe patriarch's body. Roar. The evil god tribe patriarch roared. A layer of purple light covered his body as he charged towards evil swordsman. At this moment, Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and charged over again. The divine 9-dragon cauldron resonated with each other and suppressed the evil god tribe patriarch together. The evil god tribe patriarch waved the weapon in his hand and attacked continuously. Boom, boom, boom. The divine 9-dragon cauldron kept rumbling and was sent flying. However, evil swordsman's attack came again. The evil god tribe patriarch was already severely injured, and his fighting strength was greatly reduced. Now that he was surrounded by Lu Ming and evil swordsmen, he was completely at a disadvantage. The rest of the evil god tribe were shocked. Even the evil god tribe patriarch was no match for them? Then how could they open the passage? As for the 3 experts from Two World City, they were overjoyed. Lu Ming could control the divine 9-dragon cauldron and unleash boundless fighting strength. It was a pleasant surprise. This gave them a chance to turn the tables. But at this moment, their faces changed drastically, because in the distance, there were a few extremely terrifying auras that were spreading towards them. The few of them looked in one direction. There were 3 huge demonic figures that were heading towards them. The strength of their auras was not weaker than the evil god tribe patriarchs. The evil god tribe's peerless experts, and there are 3 of them at once. The 3 people from Two World City were pale, and despair was written all over their faces. In the Heavenly Emperor realm, there was a huge gap between each level. The gap between each level was huge. Only Heavenly Emperors who were 4-star Heavenly Emperors and above could be called peerless experts. Such people already stood at the peak of the world. They were at the top of the pyramid of all living beings, and were unbelievably powerful. The reason why this ancient battlefield was so terrifying was that a group of peerless experts had fought in the past. After many experts died, they left behind an inextinguishable mark that was extremely terrifying. The evil god tribe patriarch. It wasn't hard to imagine just how powerful a peerless powerhouse was. Now there were 3 of them. Inside the divine 9-dragon cauldron, Lu Ming and Dandan could also sense the situation outside. At this moment, their faces changed drastically. It's them. Lu Ming roared. Back then, when he crossed over from the primordial realm, he saw 4 incomparably huge demonic figures of the evil god tribe fighting a fierce battle with the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Clearly, it was these 4 people. The ancestors are here. The members of the evil god tribe were wild with joy. For the sake of seizing this passageway, the evil god race could be said to have made ample preparations. First, they sent a large army to attack Two World City, preventing the heavenly realm experts from diverting their attention to reinforce them. Then they opened up this passageway. When the evil god race's army entered the primordial realm, the overall situation would be decided. Kill. In the distance, an ancestor of the evil god tribe roared. The void exploded unceasingly. The scene was extremely horrifying. Damn it. Evil sword artist roared. One ancestor of the evil god tribe was already hard enough to deal with. And now there were 3 more. He could sense that the ancestors of the evil god tribe were all injured. Their strength was not as strong as before, but it was still extremely shocking. The 3 demonic figures rushed over with extreme speed. Boom. But at this moment, the sky in the distance exploded violently. The void collapsed, and a huge hand stretched out from the dark void. The huge hand was incomparably huge, and it was filled with the might of the heavenly Tao. It blasted toward the 3 ancestors of the evil god tribe. Who is it? Imitating the ancestors of the evil god tribe, they roared and blasted out attacks toward the huge hand. Boom. That part of the void was directly smashed. It was as if the world had been destroyed and returned to chaos. Amidst the terrifying explosion, that huge hand exploded. But then a figure appeared in that area. This figure was enveloped by divine light, and his appearance could not be seen clearly. One could only roughly feel that he was burly and filled with supreme majesty. Boom. That figure continued to attack. His hands continuously blasted out terrifying palm prints toward the 3 ancestors of the evil god tribe. It's a peerless expert of our heavenly realm. The 3 experts of Two World City were ecstatic. Finally, a peerless expert of the heavenly realm had rushed over. The ancestors of the evil god tribe were injured in the end. At this moment, the 3 of them were suppressed by a peerless expert of the heavenly realm. The 3 of them were extremely indignant and roared. If they were at their peak, they would not be weaker than the other party. It was a pity that they were injured and their strength was greatly reduced. That was why they were so sullen. The 3 of them were suppressed by the other party. You go and kill them. Leave this person to the 2 of us. At this moment, an evil god tribe ancestor roared. The light on his body became brighter and brighter. 2 of the ancestors of the evil god tribe went all out. Ignoring their injuries, they forcefully raised their combat strength to the peak and charged toward the peerless expert of the heavenly realm. The 3 of them collided horribly and fought in the depths of the dark void. The remaining ancestor of the evil god tribe charged toward Lu Ming and the others. "And die." The ancestor of the evil god tribe roared and stretched out a palm. His palm was suffused with terrifying light as he grabbed toward Lu Ming. Even though they were very far away, a terrifying pressure pressed down on the divine 9-dragon cauldron, causing it to buzz and vibrate. Kill. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and attacked the other party. Boom. Boom. The divine 9-dragon cauldron collided with the other party's attack. It vibrated continuously, and then was sent flying. Lu Ming and Dandan were hiding in a divine 9-dragon cauldron. At this moment, they were also violently shaken. Their blood and chi were boiling. Swoosh. The ancestor of the evil god tribe charged over. His incomparably huge body started to shrink and eventually became the size of an ordinary person. This ancestor of the evil god tribe was not much different from a human. He had a head of purple hair and was incomparably handsome. The only difference was that there was a 3rd eye at the center of his brows. This was a royal member of the evil god tribe. The royal member of the evil god tribe was too strong. Even though he was injured, his combat strength was still very terrifying. His entire body was enveloped by a layer of purple light. The 3rd eye at the center of his brows lit up. 9 sparkling and resplendent battle swords flew out and slashed toward the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Clang. Clang. The battle swords continuously slashed on the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Sparks flew everywhere, and the cauldron vibrated continuously. Lu Ming and Dandan were hiding in that cauldron, and were surrounded by 8 other cauldrons. But even so, the terrifying power of the other party still surged in, causing Lu Ming to vomit large mouthfuls of blood. Dandan's cultivation was slightly higher, so it was slightly better. The situation was not good for Lu Ming and the others. If this continued, they would be killed by the other party even with the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The main thing was that the difference in cultivation was too great. If Lu Ming had the cultivation of a true emperor, the situation would be much better. Awaken, divine 9-dragon cauldron. Chapter 22:19. In Lu Ming's body, his blood and chi surged like a river, and they were also like true dragons swimming around. Roar. Dragon roars rang out. The 9-dragon phantom around Lu Ming's body suddenly broke apart and rushed into Lu Ming's body. Then 9 drops of blood essence flew out from Lu Ming's body. 9 dragon blood essence. Lu Ming didn't need to think to know that this was the 9 dragon blood essence. The 9 dragon blood essence that he had refined in his body actually flew out of his body. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt extremely weak. His physical strength was rapidly weakening. The 9 drops of 9 dragon blood essence shone and flew into the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons. Roar. Roar. At this moment, The 9 divine 9 dragon cauldrons let out a shocking dragon roar. At the same time, the 9 divine 9 dragon cauldrons actually started to merge. Such a change caused the expression of the evil god tribe's patriarch to change. He launched an even stronger attack. However, the divine 9 dragon cauldrons completed the merger amidst the tremors. The 9 cauldrons merged into one. Lu Ming and Dandan were still in the divine 9 dragon cauldrons. When the 9 cauldrons merged into one, their power increased greatly. They were even larger than mountains, filling the sky and suppressing the other party. Dong! Dong! The other party's battle sword continuously slashed at the divine 9 dragon cauldrons. However, when the 9 cauldrons merged into one, their power was indeed stronger. With a shake, the other party's battle sword shattered inch by inch. Kill! The divine 9 dragon cauldrons didn't stop, attacking the other party. Boom! The other party's palm struck the divine 9 dragon cauldrons. The cauldrons were fine, but the other party's body shook violently, and he was forced to retreat continuously. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming's killing intent surged. He took the opportunity to control the divine 9 dragon cauldrons and continuously attacked the other party. The attacks of the divine 9 dragon cauldrons were barbaric and direct. There was no technique, just crushing the other party. Kill, kill, kill this bastard. Dandan made a fuss. Boom. The evil god tribe's patriarch was sent flying again. He retreated continuously, his purple hair fluttering in the wind, and his eyes filled with rage. Ants! The evil god tribe's patriarch roared. He could feel the cultivation bases of Lu Ming and Dandan in the divine 9 dragon cauldron. In his eyes, they were no different from ants. But now, he was being suppressed by 2 ants. This made him furious. Amidst his enraged bellows, the body of the evil god tribe's old ancestor started to expand rapidly. In the end, he surpassed the mountain peak and pierced into the clouds, becoming even bigger than the divine 9 dragon cauldron. At the same time, the light on his body became even brighter, and his aura continued to rise. Not good, this guy is going all out. He doesn't care about his injuries and raises his strength to the peak. Dandan exclaimed. Boom. At this moment, the aura of the evil god tribe's old ancestor reached its peak. A beam of light shot out from the third eye, transforming into a gigantic sword that slashed towards the 9 dragon cauldron. The divine 9 dragon cauldron also emitted a layer of light that blasted toward the other party. Dong! A terrifying tremor rang out. That region completely exploded. The earth split apart, and the space was smashed into smithereens. They appeared in the dark void and continued to fight. The evil god tribe's old ancestor slammed out with his palm blotting out the skies as it slammed into the divine 9 dragon cauldron. The divine 9 dragon cauldron shook violently again. Next, the evil god tribe's old ancestor unleashed a torrential barrage of attacks. At this moment, the evil god tribe's old ancestor ignored his injuries and raised his strength to the peak. It was truly shocking. This was a true peerless expert, a figure that reigned supreme in the universe. He was simply too strong. At this moment, even if the divine 9 dragon cauldron were to merge into one, it would still be difficult to defeat the other party. Roar! Roar! The divine 9 dragon cauldron was suppressed, but the dragon roars continued, and they were getting louder and louder. Finally, a true dragon appeared above the divine 9 dragon cauldron. No, it was 9 dragons. A 9 dragon with 9 dragon claws under its abdomen. 9 dragons appeared. At the start, they were still illusory, but they became more and more real. In the end, they became lifelike, as if they were real. It was as if 9 dragons had come back to life. Nestle, the 9 dragons have appeared. No, this is the combination of his blood essence and the imprint of the divine 9 dragon cauldron. It's not a physical body. Dandan shouted. Roar! The 9 dragons roared. Their eyes were as resplendent as the sun. Their dragon claws stepped on the air, pouncing toward the evil god tribe's old ancestor. 9 dragons! The evil god tribe's old ancestor shouted. Fear flashed across his eyes. Although he was the old ancestor of the evil god tribe, he was not someone who had survived from the ancient era. He was born later and had never seen the 9 dragons. However, he had heard of the rumors about the 9 dragons. The top 10 battle beasts of the heaven domain were all peak experts. They were extremely terrifying. Back then, countless experts of the evil god tribe had died in their hands. There were experts among his ancestors who had died in the hands of the top 10 battle beasts. When he saw the 9 dragons appear, he was instinctively frightened. However, he immediately reacted. This was not a physical body, not the real 9 dragons. What did he have to be afraid of? He roared and charged toward the 9 dragons, fighting with them. After all, the 9 dragons were just 9 drops of blood essence, and the imprint of the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Their strength was far from their peak. On the other hand, the evil god tribe's old ancestor had already raised his strength to his peak. The two sides fought, and it was difficult to determine the victor. Lu Ming, it's more important to completely destroy that passageway. Don't fight with the other party. At this moment, Evil Swordsman's voice sounded. That's right. Lu Ming nodded secretly and sent a message to Evil Swordsman. Senior, how can I completely destroy that passageway? You control the 9 dragons and let them attack that passageway. Turn the space there into nothingness and return to chaos. In that case, it will take at least 100 years for the passageway to reappear. This will buy us some time, Evil Swordsman said. All right. Lu Ming made up his mind and started to control the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Boom. The 9 dragons exchanged another blow with the other party. Then they turned around and charged toward the original passageway. The divine 9-dragon cauldron was below the 9 dragons. Following the 9 dragons, it quickly moved toward the original passageway. You want to leave? Stay. The evil god tribe's old ancestor roared and chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and moved very quickly. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived at the original passageway. Roar. The 9 dragons roared and stomped their claws. A terrifying attack blasted toward that location. The space in that area kept exploding and turning into the tiniest particles. Back then, although the passageway had collapsed and exploded, it hadn't exploded completely. From time to time, cracks in space would appear. In that case, it was still possible to open it with some powerful means. However, if it collapsed completely, it would be difficult to open it in a short period of time. The evil god tribe's old ancestor naturally knew what Lu Ming was going to do. He was instantly enraged and charged toward Lu Ming. However, at this moment, a dragon's roar came from the depths of the sky. A huge real dragon appeared and clawed at the evil god tribe's old ancestor. It's the real dragon. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he had passed through the passageway and just arrived in the heaven realm, he had seen the divine 9-dragon cauldron and the 9 dragon veins fighting against the evil god tribe's old ancestor. Chapter 22:20. Previously, Lu Ming hadn't seen that true dragon and thought that it had already fallen. But now it seemed that it hadn't. This true dragon was fighting with the evil god race's ancestor, making it impossible for him to come over. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron with all his might, allowing the 9 dragons to continuously bombard the space. Space kept exploding. Could this be the ancestral dragon? At this moment, Dandan looked at the incomparably huge true dragon in the sky, dumbfounded and incomparably shocked. Ancestral dragon? What is that? A senior? Lu Ming asked curiously. It was rare to see someone who could make Dandan so shocked. Lu Ming was very surprised. No, it's not the ancestral dragon. If it's really the ancestral dragon, he can kill this evil god race with just a breath. No, it's just a trace of his aura. Dandan didn't seem to have heard Lu Ming's words. He muttered to himself, still looking dazed. Lu Ming was shocked. How was it possible that he could kill this evil god race with just a breath? This evil god race was a peerless powerhouse, a heavenly emperor above 4 stars. Even a peak heavenly emperor wouldn't be able to kill him with just a breath. But a peak heavenly emperor already stood at the peak of this world. According to Lu Ming's understanding, a heavenly emperor was the limit of cultivation in this world, the true peak invincible. Could it be that there was an existence stronger than a peak heavenly emperor? Lu Ming thought that Dandan was bragging. He didn't think too much about it, and controlled the 9 dragons with all his might, constantly bombarding the void. This was somewhat like kneading dough. If you didn't knead a ball of dough, there would be many cracks. Those balls of dough wouldn't completely fuse together. If you followed the cracks, you could separate the entire ball of dough. However, after continuous kneading and slapping, the dough would fuse together, and those cracks would also disappear. Right now, this void, this passageway, was like this. It was like the dough before being kneaded. There were still cracks. The evil god race could follow these cracks and completely open the passageway. And Lu Ming's current bombardment was kneading the dough, wanting to completely fuse these spaces together and make the cracks disappear. Of course, this required astonishing strength. Even ordinary heavenly emperors would find it difficult to do so. At this moment, Lu Ming's 9 drops of 9 dragons' essence blood flew out, manifesting 9 dragons. Only with this kind of power could the passage completely collapse and the cracks disappear. The evil god race's old ancestor naturally knew what Lu Ming and the others were planning. However, one of them was blocked by the enormous true dragon, and was unable to break free from it. Dream on! The ancestor of the evil god tribe, who was fighting with evil sword artist, roared. The light on his body shone brightly. At this moment he could no longer care about his injuries. He risked aggravating his injuries and unleashed all his strength. Boom! Evil Sword Master was sent flying with a single move. However, Evil Sword Master didn't retreat. He charged towards his opponent once again. He needed to give Lu Ming enough time. However, Evil Sword Artist was severely injured after all. He had almost died in the ancient war. Until now, his strength was far from fully recovered. He was no match for the evil god tribe patriarch and was sent flying again. Not good. Lu Ming was so anxious that he tried his best to control the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Not only did the 9 dragons attack the void, but the divine 9-dragon cauldron also shone brightly as it blasted towards the void. That space continued to explode, heal, and then explode again. Quick, quick! Lu Ming was anxious because Evil Sword Artist couldn't hold on any longer. If this continued, Evil Sword Artist would definitely die. Once Evil Sword Artist died, Mulin's and Qinfei Ryu, who were in Evil Sword Artist's small world, would definitely die too. Lu Ming had to make the best use of his time. Roar! The 9 dragons roared and their bodies shone brightly. Beams of light shot out from the 9 dragons' bodies. It was extremely dazzling. Boom! Finally, the 9 dragons' bodies exploded. This explosion formed a terrifying energy. The space in this area was completely annihilated, turning into nothingness and chaos. No! The evil god tribe patriarch roared. Ha ha, great! Evil Sword Artist laughed. He no longer tried to stop the other party. In a flash, he charged towards the 3 experts from Two World City. With a wave of his energy, he lifted them up and flew into the distance. Lu Ming, that's enough. Let's go. Evil Sword Artist's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and flew towards Evil Sword Artist. They met up and headed in the same direction. The 2 old ancestors of the evil god tribe joined forces and rushed towards that gigantic true dragon. That gigantic true dragon was no match for them, and its gigantic body began to crumble apart. Eventually, the entire body of the true dragon exploded, turning into a drop of fresh blood. With a flash, it disappeared from the area. A drop of blood. The 2 evil god tribe patriarchs were shocked. Then they arrived at the original passageway. That stretch of void was rapidly healing. After it healed, there was no space left. It was exactly the same as the other regions. The tunnel had completely collapsed. Damn it! Kill those ants! The purple-haired patriarch of the evil god tribe roared and chased after Lu Ming, Evil Swordsman, and the rest. The other evil god tribe patriarch and the other evil god tribe patriarchs chased after Evil Sword Artist. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and flew with Evil Sword Artist. But at this moment Lu Ming felt weak. Buzz. The divine 9-dragon cauldron shook and shrunk rapidly. Lu Ming and Dandan flew out of the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Then the divine 9-dragon cauldron split into 9 and flew into Lu Ming's glabella. At the same time, 9 drops of blood flew out of the divine 9-dragon cauldron and entered Lu Ming's body. Whoosh! At this moment, a red light flashed in the distance. A drop of blood pierced through the void and flew into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He did not understand what was going on. But at this moment he felt weak. Let's go. Evil Sword Artist waved his hand and swept Lu Ming and Dandan away. But Evil Sword Artist had not recovered from his injuries. In order to stop the Evil God Tribe Patriarch, he had worsened his injuries. Although he was fast, there was a limit to his speed. Behind them, two figures chased after them at an alarming speed. It was the two Evil God Tribe Patriarchs. We're doomed. We're doomed. Dandan wailed. Now that Evil Sword Artist was seriously injured, and the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron had run out of energy, how were they going to deal with the two Evil God Tribe Patriarchs? You cowardly tortoise. You're no different from before. Evil Sword Artist glanced at Dandan indifferently and said disdainfully, "What did you say? You better show some respect. Do you know how to respect your juniors? You're my junior. Do you understand?" Dandan was pissed and glared at Evil Swordsman. "Oh, is that so? Then I can only keep you here first. Maybe I can delay them a little." Evil Sword Artist said indifferently. Dandan immediately withered. He forced a smile and looked at Evil Sword Artist with a gentle face. "Don't be like this. I was just joking with you. We're old friends. Calm down, calm down. Ha ha." At the side, Lu Ming despised him. The three experts from Two World City despised him too. Chapter 22-21. Evil Swordsman didn't say anything else. He led the group and flew quickly. However, the two Evil God Tribe Patriarchs were getting closer and closer. The distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. "You will definitely die today." "No, I won't let you die. I will extract your souls and make you suffer," one of the Evil God Tribe Patriarchs said coldly. They were furious. They had finally found a passage to the primordial realm. As long as they could take it, they could send an army into the primordial realm. Then, it would be much easier to invade the Taiching Sky Domain. But now everything was ruined. Even though that tunnel was an innate tunnel, and as time passed, that tunnel would automatically reveal itself and return to its original appearance, it would definitely take a long time for that to happen. Most importantly, their plan was ruined by a few juniors even though they were patriarchs. It was really embarrassing. Their killing intent was naturally strong. They kept closing the distance between them and Lu Ming. Dandan's face turned pale. Evil Swordsman was very calm. He used his own energy to envelop Lu Ming and the others and flew quickly. Suddenly, Evil Swordsman stopped flying. "Hey, why aren't you running?" Dandan's face turned even paler. "Wait for them," Evil Swordsman said lightly. The others were confused. The two Evil God Tribe Patriarchs were also stunned. They didn't understand why Evil Swordsman suddenly stopped. However, they didn't stop and continued to chase. When they were about to reach Lu Ming and the others, a bright light suddenly shone in the sky. Many figures appeared in the sky. There were humans and divine beasts among these figures. There were huge divine foxes, great rocks with wingspans that covered the sky, and Kirans covered in scales. There were more than 10 figures. Kill. Kill all the foreign races. These figures were filled with killing intent. They looked at the two Evil God Tribe Patriarchs and attacked them. Lu Ming, Dandan, and the others were dumbfounded. Obviously, these figures were the imprints left behind by the peerless experts who had died in the primordial era. However, he did not expect that there would be more than a dozen of them here. Evil Sword Artist's eyes dimmed as if he was reminiscing about the past. He sighed. Back then, more than 10 experts died here. It was extremely tragic. These experts were unwilling to accept it, and before they died, they left behind an inextinguishable mark. Everyone shivered inwardly, and then sighed. Just how many powerhouses were buried in the ground beneath their feet? It was no wonder that Evil Sword Artist would run here. He knew that there were more than 10 experts' imprints gathered here. If the two ancestors of the Evil God Tribe were in their peak condition, these imprints would be useless against them. In fact, they wouldn't even be exposed. However, they are currently severely injured. Previously, they ignored their injuries and exerted their full strength, causing their battle prowess to be greatly reduced. These imprints will be of great use to them, Evil Sword Master said. That was indeed the case. At this moment, the two Evil God Tribe ancestors were besieged by the imprints of over 10 experts. For the time being, they couldn't charge out at all. Even though the battle prowess of these experts' imprints was far from what it was when they were alive, they were still extremely powerful. With more than a dozen of them working together, they completely surrounded the two evil god tribes' old ancestors. For the time being, it would be difficult for them to charge out. "Let's go to the two-world city," Evil Sword Artist said. In a flash, he led Lu Ming and the rest towards the two-world city. Evil Sword Artist's speed was shocking. He seemed to be able to avoid the imprints of the experts, and quickly left the ancient battlefield. The moment they left the ancient battlefield, they arrived at an even more vast region. This region was also a battlefield. There were potholes everywhere, and skeletons could be seen everywhere. The two worlds had fought on this battlefield for countless years. No one knew how many living beings had fallen on this battlefield. Evil Sword Artist's speed became even faster. In a flash, he had traveled thousands of miles. Soon, a huge city appeared in front of them. Even though Lu Ming had seen many majestic ancient cities, he still gasped when he saw this huge city. The walls of the huge city were made of various extremely tough metals. Countless runes were flowing on them. The walls were shockingly tall. They reached into the clouds. At a glance, it was at least 100,000 feet tall. One could vaguely see soldiers walking on the walls. The width of the city walls was even more shocking. Lu Ming couldn't see the ends of the walls at all. The two-world city was called the two-world city because it separated the two worlds. The two-world city completely separated the Taiching Heaven Domain and the Hunyuan Heaven Domain, completely blocking the entrance to the Taiching Heaven Domain. One could only imagine how wide the city walls were. A light barrier enveloped the outside of the city walls. It was a protective barrier formed by a great array. The two-world city was the reason why the Taiching Heaven Domain hadn't been breached by the foreign races for so many years. It seems that the foreign races have retreated. One of the three experts from the two-world city spoke. His name was Song Tianlong. Countless foreign races had previously attacked the two-world city. Perhaps they had received news of the ancient battlefield and retreated. The group flew into the sky and reached the same height as the city walls. The soldiers on the city walls could already see them. "I am Song Tianlong. Open the array and let us in," Song Tianlong said. "Yes, Lord Song Tianlong. Open the array." A voice sounded from within the city walls. Soon, the light barrier outside the city walls squirmed, and a door that only allowed one person to pass through appeared. The group walked in separately. How spectacular! After entering the two-world city, they stood in the sky and gazed into the distance. Inside the walls of the two-world city was a boundless military camp, with various ancient structures soaring into the sky. Countless figures could be seen flying around the place. It was too spectacular. Everyone was injured earlier. "I'll arrange accommodations for you. Follow me," Song Tianlong said. The group followed him and flew into the distance. Soon, they arrived at a huge palace. Song Tianlong quickly arranged accommodations for them. In a courtyard. "Dandan, protect me," Lu Ming said to Dandan. He sat down cross-legged. Previously, the divine nine-dragon cauldron had flown into his forehead, and the 9 drops of blood had spread throughout his body. In addition, there was another drop of blood that had flown into his body. Lu Ming didn't have the time to take a closer look. First, Lu Ming checked his body. Previously, when the 9 drops of 9 dragons' blood essence flew out, he felt a sense of emptiness, and his physical strength was greatly weakened. However, not only had his physical strength recovered, but he was also full of energy. The injuries that he had suffered earlier had also completely healed. At the same time, he felt that the strength of his physical body was stronger than before. Could it be that the 9 drops of blood had flown into the divine 9-dragon cauldron and brought out some power, allowing my physical body to evolve and become stronger? Chapter 22-22. Lu Ming felt that his physical body was much stronger than before. With a slight movement, his muscles vibrated and a dragon's roar sounded. Lu Ming's blood seemed to have countless tiny 9 dragons jumping around. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. This was a good thing. The stronger his physical body, the stronger his combat power, and the more vigorous his life force. Following that, Lu Ming's soul power sank into his sea of consciousness and observed the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron entered his sea of consciousness and floated there. The 9 cauldrons were dim, and the patterns on them were dead silent, as if they had lost their spirituality. Lu Ming appeared in his sea of consciousness and observed carefully. In the end, he tried to activate the divine nine-dragon cauldron, but there was no reaction at all. The divine nine-dragon cauldron seemed to have lost its spirituality. It seems that the battle this time has greatly damaged the divine nine-dragon cauldron. It has no energy left and can't be awakened or controlled. Lu Ming speculated. At the same time, he felt that it was a pity. If he could control the divine nine-dragon cauldron, he would become a top expert in the heaven realm. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Lu Ming tried, he could not awaken the divine nine-dragon cauldron. There was no movement at all. Thinking about it, the divine nine-dragon cauldron had gone through 2 battles in a row. Back when Lu Ming came, the divine nine-dragon cauldron had brought the 9 dragon veins and fought with the 4 peerless experts of the evil god tribe at their peak. In the end, the 4 ancestors of the evil god tribe were seriously injured. It was definitely due to the divine nine-dragon cauldron. As for the divine nine-dragon cauldron itself, it was blasted into the ground and almost lost its spirituality. It was Lu Ming who activated it with the blood essence of the 9 dragons and revived it. However, after the battle, the 9 dragons appeared, but the 9 dragons self-destructed in the end. The damage to the divine nine-dragon cauldron was extremely serious. It was not difficult to understand why it ended up like this. Can I take it out? Lu Ming thought. After many attempts, he was finally able to summon the divine nine-dragon cauldron from his sea of consciousness. However, he could not unleash its power. It was like a useless cauldron. Forget it. Lu Ming shook his head. He planned to study the divine nine-dragon cauldron when he had the chance in the future. That's right, there was another drop of blood that flew into my body. Just what kind of creature's blood was that? Where was it? Lu Ming thought of that mysterious drop of blood. Lu Ming was a little worried when a mysterious drop of blood flew into his body. He carefully searched his entire body. However, there was no trace of that drop of blood on his body. No, there's something wrong with his heart. In the end, Lu Ming discovered an abnormality in his heart. His soul power sank into his heart, and he found a drop of blood. This drop of blood was sparkling and translucent. There was actually a tiny true dragon swimming within it. Is this the blood of a true dragon? Could it be that true dragon? Lu Ming thought of the true dragon that fought against the evil god tribe in the ancient battlefield. Lu Ming wondered if that true dragon was injured, and a drop of blood flew out and entered his body. Lu Ming's soul power approached this drop of blood and tried to control it. Roar. Suddenly, a dragon roar came from the drop of blood. This dragon roar was filled with boundless might, and also had a feeling of great desolate antiquity. It was as if it came from an existence that had passed through time countless years ago, bringing with it a thick aura of time. Roar. The dragon roar rang out endlessly. That drop of blood actually moved, turning into a true dragon that reared its head and roared. Its eyes were like 2 suns. Lu Ming was shocked because he discovered that the true dragon that this drop of blood turned into was exactly the same as the true dragon that fought against the evil god tribe. At this moment, this true dragon's gaze was not looking at Lu Ming's soul power, but in another direction, in the direction of Lu Ming's spine, which was also the direction of his 3rd bloodline. Kill. At this moment, the 3rd bloodline seemed to have some kind of resonance. A deafening roar came from the 3rd bloodline. This roar was filled with boundless killing intent, almost shattering Lu Ming's soul. Kill. Kill. Roars filled with killing intent rang out. That drop of blood from the 3rd bloodline seemed to have turned into a sea of blood. Waves of blood surged and endless killing intent surged. What's going on? At this moment, Lu Ming discovered that things had exceeded his expectations. He could not control the 3rd bloodline at all, nor could he control that drop of true dragon's blood. Kill. In the sea of blood, the battle cries grew louder and louder. The boundless blood turned into a human face. Then, it turned into a beast face and kept changing. At this moment, the boundless power in the sea of blood seemed to want to rush out and destroy Lu Ming's soul. causing Lu Ming to sink into endless killing intent and turn into a killing puppet. No. Lu Ming roared. His soul shone as he guarded his heart. However, the power emitted by the sea of blood grew stronger and stronger, and the killing intent surged. Roar. At this moment, that drop of true dragon's blood turned into a true dragon and roared at the sky. It emitted an ancient dragon might as if it was fighting against the third bloodline. What's going on? Why is the bloodline suddenly going out of control? Could it be related to this drop of true dragon's blood? But why would the true dragon's blood cause the third bloodline to mutate? It seems that this true dragon's blood and the third bloodline are enemies. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He guarded his heart and did not let the boundless killing intent in the third bloodline destroy him. Otherwise, he would really be reduced to a killing puppet forever. However, the power that emerged from the third bloodline was too strong, completely surpassing him. At this moment, outside, Dandan was curiously sizing up Lu Ming. He could not hear everything that was happening in Lu Ming's body, including that shocking dragon roar and terrifying battle cries. It seemed that only Lu Ming could hear it. The only abnormality was that Lu Ming's body was trembling constantly. His body was covered in a bloody light and his face was somewhat ferocious. What's wrong with this kid? Even a drop of ancestral dragon's blood shouldn't be like this, right? Dandan muttered to himself and walked around Lu Ming. He wanted to help Lu Ming but did not know how to do so. At this moment, Lu Ming's body had entered a critical stage. Lu Ming's soul power was shrouded in a layer of bloody aura. Boundless killing intent was constantly attacking Lu Ming's soul. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming's killing intent was getting stronger and stronger. It was as if he would only stop after slaughtering all living things in the world. Buzz. At this moment, there was another fluctuation coming from Lu Ming's spine. The prison-suppressing steel bloodline automatically emerged and became 10,000 feet tall, emitting endless light. Of course, all of this was Lu Ming's perception. The people outside could not see it. The words on the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline shone even brighter. Finally, 3 words appeared on the prison-suppressing steel and suppressed the third bloodline. Kill. The third bloodline surged with bloody waves and attacked the 3 words. Chapter 22-23. There were already 2 pieces of the suppressing hell steel. They emitted boundless light and contained boundless suppressive power as they pressed down on the sea of blood. In the sea of blood, the giant face kept changing into the faces of all kinds of living beings. At the same time, it kept roaring as if it was unwilling to give up. Roar. The true dragon formed by the drop of blood roared. It seemed to cooperate with the suppressing hell steel bloodline to suppress the third bloodline. Gradually, the waves of blood in the third bloodline became smaller, and the killing intent faded. Finally, it turned back into a drop of blood and hid in Lu Ming's spine. Then the suppressing hell steel bloodline's light disappeared and flew into Lu Ming's spine and disappeared. At this time, Lu Ming's body stopped trembling and the blood aura in his body disappeared. Roar. The true dragon formed by the drop of blood let out a loud roar, and turned back into a drop of blood that rushed into Lu Ming's heart. Then, the drop of blood turned into tiny blood threads that swam through Lu Ming's blood vessels, and seeped into Lu Ming's muscles and bones. Crack, crack, crack. Lu Ming's muscles began to wriggle and his bones vibrated. There was the sound of thunder and a dragon's roar. Lu Ming's physical body was being refined and strengthened. This feels great. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He could feel that his physical body was becoming stronger at a rapid speed. He could clearly feel the speed of his strengthening. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming felt that his physical body had doubled. The drop of blood had also shrunk a little. It was only a little, about 1% smaller. At this time, the drop of blood no longer emitted blood threads. It calmed down and seemed to have become one with his heart. At this time, Lu Ming opened his eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, he felt sticky all over. Those were the impurities that had been expelled from the depths of his body. With a thought, flames spread out from his body and burned the impurities clean. The strength of my physical body has doubled. My combat strength has also increased by a lot. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He then saw a fair and tender face magnifying in front of Lu Ming's eyes. She scrutinized Lu Ming, looking left and right. Dandan, what are you looking at? Lu Ming curled his lips. Kid, you have a lot of secrets on you. Dandan's eyes rolled around and became more and more curious. By the way, I have a question. What blood is this? Lu Ming's consciousness sank into his heart. With a thought, the drop of blood appeared on Lu Ming's fingertip. Dandan's eyes widened as she stared at the drop of blood. Could this be the blood of the true dragon from before? Lu Ming said. Nonsense. Nonsense. Let me tell you. That true dragon from before was not a real true dragon. It was formed from this drop of blood. Dandan said. What? Lu Ming was shocked. The dragon that fought the evil god tribe's patriarch in the ancient battlefield was formed from this drop of blood. It was just a drop of blood, but it had such shocking strength. Surprised, right? Let me tell you, this isn't blood essence. It's just an ordinary drop of blood. If I'm not wrong, this should be an ordinary drop of blood from the ancestral dragon. Dandan said. His eyes were still staring at the drop of blood. Gradually, his eyes burned with greed. He couldn't wait to swallow the drop of blood. Lu Ming hurriedly kept the drop of blood and put it back into his heart. Ancestral dragon? What is the ancestral dragon? Lu Ming was even more curious because he had never heard of this name before. The ancestral dragon is a legend. Legend has it that it's the oldest dragon in the world, the ancestor of all dragons. It's the first true dragon in the Tianyuan world. Dandan said leisurely. There seemed to be a hint of respect in his eyes. The ancestor of all dragons, the first true dragon. Lu Ming was also shocked. This was incredible. Could it be that the ancestral dragon is stronger than the 9 dragons? Lu Ming continued to ask. Nonsense. What are the 9 dragons? The 9 dragons are just a mutation of a true dragon. They are more talented than ordinary true dragons. That's why they have such achievements. However, compared to the ancestral dragon, they are nothing. Legend has it that the ancestral dragon is a truly invincible existence that transcends the heavenly Tao. In other words, even the heavenly Tao has to submit to him. How is this possible? The heavenly emperor controls the heavenly Tao and is the pinnacle of martial arts. He is on equal footing with the heavenly Tao. How can there be a living being that transcends the heavenly Tao? Lu Ming widened his eyes in disbelief. In his knowledge, the heavenly emperor was the limit. He was on equal footing with the heavenly Tao. There was no heavenly tribulation. He was immortal and lived as long as heaven and earth. However, there was actually a living being that transcended the heavenly Tao. This really broke his understanding. In the end, Lu Ming looked at Dandan and said suspiciously, You aren't bluffing again, are you? Bluff your head. Who's bluffing you? Let me tell you, I was lucky enough to meet the ancestral dragon once, so I'm very familiar with his aura. I will never forget it in my life. The drop of blood you got is a drop of the ancestral dragon's blood. I guess it was left behind by the ancestral dragon to suppress that passage. Dandan said. No way. In that case, the ancestral dragon has an enemy? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The ancestral dragon left a drop of blood to suppress that passage. Obviously, the ancestral dragon was on the heavenly realm's side. However, he only left a drop of blood, and his real body was not there. This meant that the ancestral dragon had an enemy. If it was really as Dandan said, that the ancestral dragon was as powerful as the ancestral dragon, then the situation was really serious. Could it be that there was also such a terrifying existence on the side of the foreign races? Dandan also frowned, and his face was solemn. He said, Obviously, there is also an existence of that level among the foreign races. Otherwise, the heavenly realm would not have fallen to this point. Once the ancestral dragon appeared, even the heavenly emperor would find it difficult to defeat him. Unfortunately, I have never seen an existence of that level. Lu Ming sighed. The war between the 2 realms was more tragic than he had imagined. With his cultivation, he could not get involved at all. The difference was too great. Then he collected his thoughts and said, How did the ancestral dragon's blood appear on my body? Is it related to the 9 dragons' blood essence? That's most likely the case. Kid, you're really lucky. Even I'm envious of you. Although this drop of blood is just an ordinary drop of blood from the ancestral dragon, and it was greatly damaged in the previous battle, it's still extraordinary. If you can refine it, the benefits it will bring to you will absolutely be amazing. I'm so envious of you, kid. What do you have? Danden's eyes turned red as he spoke. He was really envious. He paced around Lu Ming, wishing he could take a bite out of Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt his scalp go numb. He scolded. What are you looking at? Get lost. Oh right, how many days have we been back? Dandan licked his lips and said, It has been 10 days. 10 days? So fast. Lu Ming muttered. He felt that only a short while had passed. He did not expect it to be 10 days. I wonder how Senior Evil Sword Artist is doing? Chapter 22-24. Evil Swordsman's courtyard was near Lu Ming and the rest. Senior Mullins. When Lu Ming walked into Evil Swordsman's courtyard, he saw Mullins practicing a set of swordsmanship alone in the courtyard. Mullins stopped practicing when she saw Lu Ming. She smiled brightly and said, Lu Ming, have you recovered from your injuries? I went to see you 2 days ago, and you were still practicing. I've fully recovered. Lu Ming smiled and teased her. Senior sister, you've become prettier after so many years. Is that so? Mullins smiled brightly and sighed. It's a pity that some people don't know how to appreciate it. How can that be? Who doesn't know how to appreciate it? They must be blind. Lu Ming continued to smile, which made Mullins smile even brighter. Oh right, where's Senior Evil Swordsman? How are his injuries? Lu Ming asked. You came at a bad time. Senior Evil Swordsman left yesterday with Kenfei Ryu and returned to the ancient battlefield. Mullins said. Left. Lu Ming was stunned. Senior Evil Swordsman said that he'd rather stay in the ancient battlefield. It's more carefree. Mullins said. Lu Ming nodded. Perhaps Evil Swordsman had many comrades in the ancient battlefield. Countless people had died in the war back then, and many of his friends were buried there. How could he not feel pain? Senior Evil Swordsman also said that although the passageway has been completely destroyed, it will probably reappear in 100 years. Mullins said with a frown. On the other side of the passageway was Yuan Continent, where her family and friends were. 100 years. 100 years later, the foreign tribes won't be able to cross. Lu Ming opened his eyes, revealing his strong confidence. Oh right, senior sister, I'll be leaving soon. Come with us. Lu Ming said. Sure. Mullins nodded. Now she had obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert. Her cultivation was already at the peak of quasi-emperor. It was only a matter of time before she confirmed her Dao and became a martial emperor. Once one became an emperor, as long as one passed the heavenly emperor tribulation, one would have a long lifespan. So now, she would no longer run away. She wanted to grasp her own happiness. The two of them went back to Lu Ming's courtyard and found Dandan. Not long after, they found Song Tianlong and bid him farewell before flying towards the east of Two Realm City. In the ancient era, Dandan knew a person who had grasped many laws before becoming a martial emperor. That person had researched for his entire life. In his later years he had made a major breakthrough. He might be able to help Lu Ming find a way to become a martial emperor. Now they were going to that person's family to find that method. That clan was located in the southern part of the Grand Clarity Heaven Domain. The Grand Pure Sky Domain could be said to be the Heaven Domain with the widest territory in the 9 Heavens Domain in the Heaven Domain. Its size was not inferior to the Yuanlu. Two Realm City was at the westernmost part of the Grand Pure Sky Domain. Not long after they flew out of the Two Realm City, what entered their eyes were vast mountains that towered into the clouds. There seemed to be no end to them. The origin chi in the Heaven Domain is indeed richer than the primordial realm. The laws are also clearer. Perhaps only the most powerful land in the 10 lands of the primordial realm, the Divine Fate Land, can compare. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Then the three of them flew into the sky and flew into the distance. Dandan was very familiar with the Heaven Domain. They flew past mountains, and there was a public teleportation area. They were going to take the teleportation array to the south of the Grand Pure Sky Domain. Half a month later, They had arrived at the south of the Grand Pure Sky domain. They were flying in a remote area. At a glance, there was a boundless sea of bamboo. Whether it was the mountains or the plains, they were all covered with bamboo. There were all kinds of bamboo. Dandan, we've been looking for so many days. Did you lead us to the wrong place? Lu Ming asked. How is that possible? How could I lead you to the wrong place? The Gu family is in this area. They live in seclusion in a purple bamboo forest. If there are no major problems, they won't move, Dandan said. The three of them looked around, searching for the purple bamboo forest. Another half a day passed. Found it, Dandan shouted and flew forward. Lu Ming and Mulan followed behind. Soon a sea of bamboo appeared in front of them. It was all purple bamboo. At a glance, it was a sea of purple. Even the leaves of the purple bamboo were purple. The bamboo poles were sparkling and translucent, as if they were carved out of purple jade. In the depths of the bamboo forest, they saw a very elegant palace dotted in the boundless purple sea. Haha, so many years have passed. They're still here. Let's go. Dandan smiled and flew toward the palace. However, they did not fly far before a few figures rushed out from the bamboo forest below and blocked them. There were a total of 3 people, a middle-aged man and 2 young men. They had one thing in common. They all wore jade crowns on their heads and wore snow-white robes. They looked very elegant. Gentlemen, this is the Gu family. May I know what business you have with the Gu family? The middle-aged man cupped his fists and said politely, We're here to look for someone, of course. Dandan said casually. Looking for someone? May I know who you're looking for? The middle-aged man asked. Gu Xingyue, Gu Xingxing and the others are around. I'm here to look for them, Dandan said. His words caused the expressions of the 3 loners to change greatly, becoming somewhat unsightly. Little brother, the 2 people you're talking about are the patriarchs of the Gu family. Moreover, it's too disrespectful of you to call them by their names. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with anger, but he suppressed it and said with some displeasure. What disrespect? They're just my juniors. If I don't call them by their names, what should I call them? Dandan pursed his lips. How dare you? I think you're here to pick a fight. Do you really think that the Gu family is easy to bully? One of the young men shouted angrily. At the same time, a long sword appeared in his hand, and Sword Chi soared into the sky. The middle-aged man's expression was also very ugly. How old did Dandan look? How dare he say that the 2 patriarchs of the Gu family were his juniors? He was obviously here to pick a fight and humiliate the Gu family. Nestle, I'll tell you the truth. These people are actually going to attack, Dandan shouted. Lu Ming was speechless. How can you talk like that? It would be strange if they weren't angry when you said that. At that moment, figures flew out from the depths of the bamboo forest. Obviously, the commotion here had alarmed the people of the Gu family. There were dozens of people in total. Some were old, and some were young, but they all had one thing in common. They were all dressed in snow-white robes regardless of gender. They looked very elegant. What's going on? An old man with a fluttering white beard asked. Before the people of the Gu family could answer, Dandan shouted first. Get Gu Xingxing and Gu Xingyue to come out and see me. An old friend is here to see them. How dare you? How dare you insult the ancestors of the Gu family? Immediately, the people of the Gu family were enraged and roared. What? Ancestors? Are Gu Xingyue and Gu Xingxing dead? That can't be. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.